Thank you. I think you're misrepresenting our position. Our position was that actually we rejected the results of the purported of an election which never was, because from the start, the circumstances surrounding the process were that the election was not free and fair. The process had been hijacked by the military, as you saw. That I don't need to explain to anybody. That's the starting point. That there is no way you would have expected the results from such a process. And actually we kept on wondering why we had to go through all that in order for them to produce the figure of 71% they were claiming. They did not need to go all that. So I want to unequivocally state the party position that we rejected the results declared because they were not results in the meaning of the law. And I want to start with what is the law. The law as is requires us as political parties or players to have agents at every polling station. The import of this is that after, maybe let me start show at every polling station, our agents were arrested in the number of polling stations and they were actually held incommunicado. A Kasara at our record shows that we had over 1,000 people, agents who had been arrested. Some actually have been released, and we have actually around the 680 who are still held by the person we are competing with, save for the fact that our vice presidents were actually produced before court. That is after filing an application for writ of habeas corpus, because they were actually not seen. Having said that, I want to go now plainly on the law. The law requires us, gives us the right to have agents at every polling station. And the law, when it comes to declaration of results for actually what we call the DRA forms, the abbreviated as declaration of result forms, it creates an obligation on the Electoral Commission to give a copy to every agent of every candidate, to fix a copy of the data form on the conspicuous place at a polling station, and also to transmit a copy on the official report book and the tamper-proof envelope. They now even have a provision. They send a copy of the data result form to Kampala. That's the position of the law. In most of the polling stations, our agents were not given those data forms, save for the fact that we collected the majority of the data forms which we have. But where are the crux of the matter? Section 58 of the Presidential Elections Act requires, which actually I'm glad we made with Honorable Dombo when we were in Parliamentary Affairs Committee, we made it mandatory that after the returning officer of the district has tallied the results of a district, he or she is supposed to transmit to Kampala. And the Section 58 requires the returning officer to copy in the political parties. That is the law. You can Google. He has a copy. I would be very glad if he's responding from after reading the section. Or you can find. That's the requirement of the law. And two, that is the requirement. We submitted our address to the Electoral Commission. We never received any transmission of results.
Does the law state the time frame within which that should
the law makes it immediate, because you see you are transmitting results. Because the law, actually, now I am now coming to that. When you go to Section 59, it creates an obligation on the Electoral Commission that they must publish, they must declare the result under the seal of the chairman, and that means that the chairman, as actually as even as they are reading results, it can't be. I think it was a journalist from radio. One was asking, Mr. Chairman, but they just keep putting a bulk figure and say now Mr. Museveni is on 3 million, Chagulanyi on 1. Then the journalist asked, but now this one are from which districts? The chairman said that no, by evening our technical team will have resolved it. Of course, he dodged to answer the question. We expected him to say, yes, he was supposed to say from Jinja, Mayuge, and this other polling station. They did not do. We said, okay, they engaged into a lot of illegalities as they were declaring, breaching the law. Then we said, okay, now that you have even omitted Section 58, which is mandatory, they were supposed to receive results from every district, from each returning officer, as they are transmitted, because that's the law Honorable Dom and myself made. If you Google Section 58, we did not receive. There was a blackout. They had switched off the internet to curtail that for us to get. We said, okay, we moved still to the final stage, that now that you have declared the results, the law requires you to print a tally sheet. You put under your seal and sign, and pass on to President Museveni, whom you are claiming he won, and to other candidates. The import of that is that if we had received that, within the 10 days, we're supposed to file a petition. We're supposed to get our education results form, get a tally sheet, put our technical people, start to verify results at every polling station to see whether the results as they are in our education results form we had are those which have been actually declared. As I talk now, we have not got. What is the history?
I think you were given the tally.
No. They gave there's a difference between the declaration, which is a piece of paper,
which was given to Council Benjamin.
Now, yes, I want to
educate. And he declined to receive.
I want to educate you on that. That's the declaration form, but it must be accompanied with a tally sheet, because the tally sheet shows the detail of every polling station announced per district. And that's what the law says, that it must be signed under the seal and then passed on. Because once we receive, as I'm talking now, because now when they wanted to declare in the subsequent elections, they would keep on inflating results, or they would not declare some polling stations, and they would declare their candidates, so they get some slots. But when we ask for the tally sheet at those respective levels, we're in position to see that actually they omitted the 2 polling stations, because for them, when they are declared for councillors, they will know that nowadays the parish has like 12 polling stations. And if they add the 10, their candidate would win. If you add the 12, their candidate would lose. They would subtract the 2, they would not tally the 2. Then they would print and give out. So we've been positioned to get all those details now by asking for tally sheet. Good enough, we've been given, compared with our data forms, and then found out that actually there is the data forms they gave us have different results. And what have we done? We have got other candidates who are in the race, who have the same data form. And after the time, look, this is falsification of results. This is what we wanted to do as a political party. Having said that, this has not been done, even up to today. You understand? That's why it is very difficult for even us to extend a congratulatory message to the Dombos. You understand? The Baganda have a saying that akatali kabbe bolia magumbo osula mmulyango, that if you have slaughtered an animal and you have not stolen it, even the bones you can throw anywhere, because you not fear that what if Mzee Dombo comes looking for his goat and find the bones, what will actually have happened? So the point of contention is that the law clearly stipulates. We said the election was never was, because the military actually subdued the commission and were not in charge of the process.
All right.
But by and large, you said, okay, fine, since we're already in it, then notwithstanding the fact that we spent, I think, over, was it 400 billion, my brother Dombo, my senior brother will tell me, to buy machines as the VVK machines. They spoke all kind of literature narratives for the VVK. When they realized maybe they would lose because of the VVK, they did not actually use them. But they had passed a statutory instrument, a law, which was saying the election would be conducted according to these machines.
And President Yoweri Museveni had insisted there will be no single voter who will be given a ballot without going through the biometrics.
Yeah, but you see, these are things we are saying. So having said that, without the commission and government following the law, that's why we rejected. But we arrived to the fact that the Court of Record, the Supreme Court, at one time has ever said that they actually did not follow the law, but all the same, it was okay. All
right. Let's go to Honorable Dombo, who is here in studio, to respond to some of the issues that we have put across. Honorable Dombo, you've heard, you were announced the winners, but other key stakeholders don't think so. They are still demanding for proof. And according to the submission of Honorable Mwiru, there is hesitation to do that, despite the provision of the law which you participated in enacting.
Okay, you made the section.
Honorable Dombo.
Well, since it is the same electoral commission that declared the Honorable Mwiru as the MP elect, allow me to congratulate him.
Thank you.
and to tell you that they selectively choose when to accept the work of the Electoral Commission, when it benefits them, and they choose to disparage the work of the Commission if it will give them political mileage.
I think there's a difference between parliamentary elections and the presidential elections and how they are.
Those elections are conducted on the same day, and they are the same voters. But that said and done, I want to tell my brother Mwiru that the reason we made the laws is that those who implement them are supposed to follow them. And if the Electoral Commission hasn't followed them, then you have a legitimate reason to demand.
Yeah.
Because I was disappointed when last time we refused to proceed with the petition of the election against the election of the president. And even this time I had thought that perhaps your team or any other person may want to go to the courts of law. Because what do the courts of law do?
Mr. Kasibante has just withdrawn a petition.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm feeling disheartened. Because every time somebody goes to the courts of law, even when they may not get the judgment in their favor, the outcome of the petition improves the jurisprudence and the outcome, and is likely to improve the quality of the subsequent elections. To me, that has been very great. When you look at the elections in Kenya, and you see how many times they have gone to the Supreme Court, the rulings that have been made and the recommendations adopted, progressively the quality of elections has been improving. So in this case, you have a legitimate right if there are sections of the law that have not been implemented. Because I'm not here to represent the Electoral Commission. It is the Electoral Commission who knows, and at the right time you must invite the members of the Electoral Commission to come here and tell the public if there are any sections of the law they have offended and they have not released the either tally sheets or declaration forms as they are required in accordance to the law.
But, well, you know the law, you participated in enacting it. Have they gone against the law?
Well, I don't know how they have responded because what I know,
they haven't responded according
what I know is that Hon Mwiru was a candidate representing himself at the polling center, but also representing his presidential candidate. And I'm very sure that they have been able to collect the tally sheets, the declaration forms, at every polling center as provided for by the law. For us, we made the deployment because we had the capacity and we had the numbers which were able to do so. And we have retrieved 100% of all declaration forms from the polling stations. If my brother Mwiru and his team have done that, then it is them to tell us how far they have gone with it. But if there is that addition where the Electoral Commission is required under the law to make publication of certain of the results and the outcomes of the tally sheets, then they should go ahead and demand it. If they had brought up an election petition instead of getting involved in this hide and seek that their leader is involved in, this would have been more meaningful, and it would have compelled, through the process of the courts, it would have compelled the Electoral Commission to ensure that they comply with the law as required. And the courts would have helped us that in the future, in case the Electoral Commission doesn't comply with the law, then they could have gone ahead to make additional recommendations. Unfortunately, our friends chose they didn't receive the outcome of the results. They did not choose to go to the courts of law. And right now, even when we thought that Mr. Kasibante's petition will help expose some of the gaps that may have been available and on how we may circumvent some of these issues by the courts making additional recommendations, unfortunately, this hasn't been the case. So go ahead. This is your right. But for us, we participated in an election and we have legitimately won, and we have our results, including the declaration forms at every polling station. If anybody comes to contest the results, we shall be in the courts of law defending the outcome of the process.
All right, Spectrum University. Dr. Ojambo, your take on this demand by these main opposition parties for an audit. They want documents from the Electoral Commission. They said the law allows them to get them. Let's hear from you. Is this something that you think is likely to be achieved?
Kenneth, before I delve into that matter, let me just share with you what I heard yesterday. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs declared on a TV, a live talk show like this one. He said that this time the Electoral Commission was below the belt. It performed under the bar. And I think what has been seen on TV, in the polling stations and everywhere, I think shows that allegation that the minister, but ministers don't make allegations. In fact, for us in academics, when a Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs makes a statement, it is a statement that you can depend on as an authority, especially on a national TV when you are listening to him. So in my view, all the doubts we have been having were sealed yesterday when I watched the Minister, Honorable Norbert Mao, give that statement on a live talk show that the Electoral Commission performed under the bar. In other words, they did not fulfill the expectations. And of course, the person asked him, but is under your docket? But he answered him that I'm not Electoral Commission. It is supposed to be an independent Electoral Commission. That's where I want to begin from. There is a lot of mediocrity in our country. Mediocrity on things that are very, very serious. Kenneth, if you have been watching, you would see this. For example, somebody is appointed by the Republic of Uganda to go and become a returning officer. And he goes to the station and he doesn't do that. He doesn't do what is expected of a returning officer. For example, there are very good districts that you can look at where there was a lot of drama. Sembabule is one of them, and Wakiso. In my view, that's where we have had the highest highlights in both presidential, parliamentary, and local government elections, which ended yesterday. I'll start with the Sembabule. You have seen videos that are running around, although we want to say that there is artificial intelligence, but some of them are beyond artificial intelligence. You really see that this may be a real video where another DC goes and takes over a polling station and is the one telling the returning officer which votes should be given to which candidate. And you follow it carefully. I've tried to engage with my colleagues who are very good at artificial intelligence to tell me whether this is artificial intelligence. And many of them are qualifying to be real pictures. And the man announces what the RDC has told him. So who is wrong in that case? In my view, it is the returning officer who is a mediocre. He doesn't know, because a returning officer in a polling station is higher than everybody, unless there is a war and maybe a general of the army comes and says, here you cannot vote. He's supposed to be in charge. Just like Justice Byabakama at the Electoral Commission is supposed to be answerable to only Ugandans, because Ugandans through Yoweri Museveni gave him that job to do. But they decide to do the different things. Then the other example I want to give you is this returning officer Wakiso. And one of the most annoying thing, we hope it is not true. And we hope these audits could come and allay these fears, where it is alleged that he announced the third best person to become the mayor of Kira. And you know, some of us, we are people of record. We have recorded that and we will want to find out whether it is true. So if a returning officer does such a thing, you remember the returning officer for Mukono, Apollo, somebody. If you are not sure, why do you announce? You announce somebody, after 2 hours, you come and change. Do you want people to die in that place? People have already jubilated. If a cow has been slaughtered, what do you do? So I really think that the officers of the Electoral Commission have been, in this time, have been really pathetic. They have been pathetic. This is the first time they are arresting polling officers selling ballot papers at the polling station. I am surprised that these things are happening. As I said last time I appeared here, I was talking to a Kano friend of mine, and he said that even in 1980, he didn't see the things he's seeing today. And this is a man who went to the bush, so I tended to believe him. He saw then, he went to the bush, he fought, he has served the system, and he's now telling you that. So for me, I think that the political parties and every Ugandan should be interested in correcting these mistakes. I told you last time that if things continue like this, I cannot vote in Uganda. For example, I voted in the presidential and parliamentary elections. I voted for the city mayor and others. In the local ones, I didn't vote. And you have seen the returns. In fact, I was looking at the statistics, and I want to give you an example of a sub-county in Mukono, where there are 10,000 voters in that sub-county. The chairman of that sub-county is going to lead that sub-county after garnering 241. And the other one who followed him got 150 something. So less than 500 people, others got 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So out of 10,000, only less than 500 voted. And this man is going to purport, say, is a chairman of that sub-county or a chairperson of that sub-county. So me, I think this election has created a lot of things for us to think about. And if we want a country called Uganda, any serious person who want to be in this country and his children and his grandchildren, and also when you get out of the country, like some of us who travel, you are proud that you're coming from Uganda. Something must be done. For example, the Electoral Commission should be given to people who are able to do the work. Kenneth, people were being deployed on the polling station in the morning of the election. They are getting an appointment letter. Some of them are being transferred from one polling station to another. Now, the preparedness. I was at the polling station where the polling agent was almost whispering the names because the machines had collapsed. So it was the voters on the line who are telling him, announce the name loud. Because me, that one, I knew it in 1996 when I first voted. The polling agent is supposed to announce the name of the person aloud so that the agents can check and everybody hears that Ojambo has voted. This person is not able. Polling agents were a preserve of big people's children. You had to get a cheat to take it somewhere for you to be appointed, and sometimes you are disappointed. For example, there are people who were trained to run those machines that he's talking about. Mid the system, they are sacked. They recruit another group. So for me, I thought that despite almost 3 trillion shillings that was given to the Electoral Commission, because they started these budgets 3 years ago for preparation, and when the Electoral Commission came up with a plan, they have been financing them every financial year for the last 3 years to organize this election. We have spent almost 3 trillion shillings, and you get a shambolic election like this one. Everybody is cursing elections. If you listen to on TV, on radio, candidates are requesting President Museveni that why don't almost. Let me tell you, Honorable Dombo, with due respect, he is older than me, and he has served in high government dockets more than me. Me, I'm just a poor teacher at the university. He has this pain, I know, more than me. But because of the position he's in, maybe he may not want to associate with what I'm saying, but he also watches. Honorable Dombo was watching the thing, he's hearing. The things are in public domain. Yesterday evening, can you imagine, Kenneth, you have been in this country. Where have you seen elections for a sub-county, like Kakira sub-county, taking 3 days to be announced? Why? Why a sub-county? You have about 9, like for example, Kakira Town Council, it is a town council now. It has only 2 sub-counties. In fact, it is a sub-county itself. It has around 9 parishes. Do you need 3 days to announce that? And that's why people are alleging that you had to pay something to the returning officer. Then he would say, let's see, I think now we can announce you. Because why don't you announce there and then? And that's why we now want a system, if it is possible. And I think the things are possible. We have trained so many young people in IT who are well versed with these things. We want a system where I vote and my vote is relayed there direct immediately. And then we shall see these crooks, what they are doing. Then the military, of course, Mwiru is talking about the military taking over the job of the Electoral Commission. But for me, I blame the Electoral Commission. Because if the Electoral Commission, and this Electoral Commission, we are blessed, is led by a justice of the Constitutional Court. A justice of the Constitutional Court is a very senior person in the country, knowledgeable in matters of law. In fact, you cannot, if you use the word knowledgeable, it's even an understatement. He's supposed to be a specialist in matters of law because he's a justice of the Constitutional Court, the court that interprets law whenever there is a conflict. For me, I think if he was not competent, he should have said, I cannot do this. But since he managed to run the election, a sham election, he has not even come to give a statement that we can rely on. I think he has a problem as an individual. Then the system at the Electoral Commission, I think also has a problem. Electoral Commission prepares for 5 years to carry out an election. Now, how can you prepare for 5 years and carry out a very shambolic thing like what we have been seeing? So, I think that let's not blame the military, the RDCs. These RDCs, I normally imagine that if in my small office where I work, and an RDC comes that change the mark of student this to this, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. That one I swear. I cannot do it even from gunpoint. But people here want to do shabby things to benefit their interest, then they blame the army. They blame this one. They blame the system. Which system has failed, for example, has failed the returning officer to send the tallies to the district and they are relayed to the Electoral Commission and given, which system has failed them? These are just things that are done by people who are either mediocres or they are incompetent or they are fulfilling their own interests. And for me, I think if we want to correct these mistakes, we must sit down and redirect this country. Right. We now have more educated people than we had in 1980. We have people who are willing to work but cannot find what to do. People who know nothing about to do are the ones masquerading in these offices. So for me, I really feel that without pointing fingers to anybody, we need a soul searching. So I agree with those people who are saying we need an audit, we need a process to correct this process if some of us are going to continue voting in this country.